This is really fun. Welcome to season 5, episode 4. Alex and I are going to bring you real shit just like this. I'm asking him what is the purpose of this podcast, and he wants to click record. So let's record this.
Yeah.
I have recently taken on a lot of projects within my own business, releasing my own podcast, and I am the one doing it all behind the scenes. So I asked him, what is the purpose of this podcast? Because it takes about 2 to 3 hours after we record to edit and upload and do the small clips and do that up. And yes, I was teaching my sons to do it, but the issue is we don't actually ever record before the podcast is due. So we're recording Sunday at 11 p.m. or midnight or Monday. So then I have to do it because it has to be done quickly and efficiently. So I can't teach my sons to do that if we're doing it such last minute. So I'm asking him now, if I have my own podcast, my own platform when I get to talk my ideas and what I want, what is the purpose of this one? Why are we producing this podcast? Because I believe that everything you do should have an intention behind it. It should have an ultimate goal, right? Something that you're like, you know what? I can send it to this person. That's why I'm recording this podcast. And he said, well, to share our life. I'm like, okay, yeah, great. A lot of people do that too, which I get it. Yes, Lumi, we are recording right now. Which, yes, I understand that a lot of people share their lives just for sharing. But my belief is that doesn't serve anyone if we're just here rambling about just our daily lives and all of that and blah, blah, blah. Like, it has to have a common purpose, a goal, an intention. So,
What was the purpose when you started season 5?
we wanted to share our journey leading out to Liam's passing. That's why we had restarted the podcast after 2 years.
Yeah.
Which, yes, in sharing our life. But once again, I am hitting a different stage of my life. And with that different stage of my life, I am also now working on my own things. And now this podcast feels like this extra task over here that I don't necessarily want to do, but now I've committed to do. And now I'm like, well, what purpose is it really serving in my current life?
So what Giselle's telling you is she's breaking up with me.
What I'm saying is, unless you give me a good reason on why this podcast should continue, then I'm not putting more effort behind it.
I'm not here to fight for you.
I'm not asking you to fight for me.
No, I'm just
I'm
messing
saying,
with
like, if you really want this podcast, give me a reason to stay. If not, I'm doing my own.
you. Yeah, no, Giselle's been very into her own routine, so
You sound so excited.
you just I mean you hit me here. You hit me with a punch right to the stomach. My heart's hurt. I'm trying to process this.
You're the one who hit record. I did not hit record.
And then like right before we jumped on here, I saw that she was scanning her chat with
Well, I put this exactly what I just told you guys. I put it into AI. The part that I haven't told you is that I said I feel like I'm having to chase Alex to record episodes. So in my own podcast, I've sat down and I just bang out the episodes 1, 2 hours and I got 2, 3, 4 weeks of content. But with this podcast, like I said, it's always last minute. It's Alex, when we're recording, is Alex forgetting 50 times? Is Alex getting into 10 million things? I don't function that way. So I am having a very hard time trying to produce this because I feel like I'm trying to pull you along, which is why we stopped the first time as well. And I'm like, I don't want to keep doing this if it feels that way because my podcast, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to record it, I'm done. And eventually I'm going to start bringing on guests, which I've already told myself October 1st, I am going to start booking guests for my own podcast. Once again, I don't have to rely on anybody else for that. That is from my own effort, my own execution. And we've talked about how Alex and I function very differently. And he has a lot of things on his plate. Cool. If this is not one of the things serving us in this moment in time, then maybe the podcast goes down to once a month. Maybe the podcast takes another pause. I don't know. But this is the conversation we're currently having right now.
which she just put on me like a minute before.
Okay, I did not press play. Once again, you press or record. You did that. I was trying to have this conversation off camera, and you pressed record. And I said, okay, fine, let's do this then. You want to do it on camera?
No, I mean, I think it's a very good question that you have is why are we doing this? Because if we're producing it and there's no intention behind it, then we're just running aimlessly in the wind. And I do believe that it is great to share our journey. I think that it's been great that we've shared our journey and how we've processed things and how we've navigated different things. But I do believe that the more that we grow, the more that we take steps, we have to monetize our mission. So if there's really no meaning behind this, then
I think there is meaning, and there is, like, for instance, we're doing something that a lot of families don't do. And I think that there's extreme value in that. But where I'm having a hard time is I believe that even when you're doing something like this, like there should be some type of strategy behind what you're doing as you're doing it. And this doesn't feel like that. It just feels like we pop on and we're like, okay, what are we talking about today? And at the end of the year, like you end up with this group of conversations, but it's like, okay, where do you put them? Like, it's just like, okay, maybe this one conversation served a person or this or that. And I'm not saying that this podcast hasn't helped anyone or it hasn't done that. But once again, when you start doing other things that have a very direct mission and you can see actual results from it, it's hard to then continue this thing that you're not sure what it's doing. And that's how I feel right now. Like this is like the hamster wheel, not sure where it's going, but I keep doing it. And you know, the definition of insanity is to keep doing the same thing that produces you the same results. And I'm not sure what results we're getting from this podcast. So I'm just like, do I really want to do this? Where with things that I'm doing, I know where it's going because I've put an endpoint, at least like the next goalpost of like, okay, this is where we're going. This is where I'm taking this. And I'm working towards that. Where this doesn't have goalposts right now.
yeah, I don't think we've defined anything in regards to um, the direction of this. I know that uh, we've talked briefly in the past about teaching things. Like, we have a really unique life, and I am sure that people would want to know how to do that.
And I mean, we've talked about those things, but it's so, I guess where I'm getting at, it's like we have very broad topics. It's all over the place. And I'm not saying like every episode should sound exactly the same and every episode should talk about the same things. But I also believe that there should be some type of common goal in mind. Like, is it to get the podcast out so people can recognize us and know who we are and know more about us, know us on a deeper level? Like, what is it? And for instance, like just producing the content in social media ideally is what's going to get the podcast out. That's not happening. Like if I don't do it, it's not happening. And and once again, like I'm having to now ask myself what is worth my time because I have very limited work times with a baby. It's very limited at especially my computer time. Like I can work from my phone all day long, but my computer time is so precious because there's very few hours of the day that I can sit down with two hands and work on a computer. And this podcast, like I said, can take anywhere from 1 to 3 hours for me to do all that. So it's like, do I work on this podcast? Do I work on my own podcast? Do I work on my own things? Like right now, I have a long list of all the things that I have to do to fix my funnel and fix my own business and fix my things. But I'm sitting here recording this podcast that I have no idea what's the what's the result of it. Like what is this podcast getting me? I don't know.
This is a real live conversation that we're having in front of you. Kind of embarrassing, but at the same time, it is what it is. And I think
it's real life.
I think we're both agreeing at this moment that we're going to pause the podcast so we can go our separate ways.
I mean, I haven't reached a decision. Like I said, I know with the frequency of weekly, I can't, like, that's a no for me right now. Like, when I felt into myself and we missed last week because of exactly what I'm describing right now. All of this. This is why we missed our podcast last week because we realized it last minute. we went to like 3 countries in 4 days. There was a lot happening. And by the time we came to realize it was Friday. And we're like, oh shit, we just missed last week's podcast, which we said we were going to record. And now it's Monday and we almost missed this week's podcast as well. And now I'm like, okay, why is this so difficult? Like, why is this, like now I feel like I'm having to, drag this along just to make it happen. And I guess that's a big belief in my life is like, it shouldn't feel hard to do the things that you enjoy and to do the things that, I don't know, like to get your purpose, mission, whatever out there. Like, to me, I'm not saying like life is always easy and it's just going to come naturally and all of that, but this isn't something that's currently like lighting me up in that way that I'm like, yes, I'm going to put in the hard work. I'm going to do it. Where I feel that way with the work I'm doing on my own. I am putting in the work. I'm putting in the hours to learn about it, to put in the effort behind all of that. That's lighting me up right now. This podcast necessarily isn't. And I don't think it's, once again, I think it's the coordination of it all, of like getting you to sit down and record multiple episodes or whatever it is. And then if I have to sit down and do 2 to 3 hours of editing, I'm just like, right now, that's
So
not
here, I'm making an executive decision with the feedback that I'm hearing. And you're not going to see another podcast episode from this platform, from us, at this moment in our lives. When we monetize our own missions and we have a deeper pocket in regards to having resources for people to edit and
Yeah, I mean,
do those things for them.
if I had a team to edit the podcast, it would be much easier for us to sit down and say, okay, all we have to do is sit down, record the conversation. Somebody else takes care of everything else in the back end. But right now, that's us. We're a 2-man team or a one person team. Like, he works on his stuff in his business. I work on my stuff in my business. And the podcast has been both of us. Um, so yeah, it's been hard. Like I said, for me, the last few weeks when I'm literally up till 1 and 2 a.m. trying to get this done because we're doing it last minute. And I like being punctual. I like putting things out on the right time. And I've had a really hard time when we miss the Mondays, when we miss our, like deadline. And I know that people probably don't notice, but I do. And it gets to me.
Well, and here's the thing. Well, also like in this whole absence piece is when we come back, there's going to be more structure because it's cool to flow. I do like to flow, but at the same time, it has to make sense. And it just hasn't been making sense. And um, I think that that's the biggest piece for us is it has to make sense where we're at, how we're traveling, our goals, our aspirations, the things that we're trying to get to. Um, doesn't mean that like don't get me wrong, I really do love vibing with I love having these conversations and talking. And I'm a little hurt right now, but at the same time, I'm not gonna take it personal. Let her do her thing. She always comes back. She always comes back.
Look, I'm not, you're acting like I'm leaving you.
She's there. Honestly, I prematurely pressed play.
You got yourself.
And we are now in this 14-minute conversation where she is venting, which is amazing. It's amazing.
I mean, this is the real shit that people sometimes don't work.
Well, here's the thing. You here we go. Oh, let's go. I just got energy right now. Okay. No, the thing is, she asked me a question is, what's the purpose of this? And the reality is we haven't sat down and we've never had a new conversation about.
We did for the first 12 episodes.
Which was Liam specific.
We were like, we're going to talk about each country we travel to and we're going to end. And I like curated this whole thing around the 12 episodes.
And it was amazing.
And then we started the next season and there wasn't.
With no structure, just like, hey, every week we're going to talk about something in our life, how we're navigating. And so there's no.
But look, I turned off my phone. I will say ChatGPT did bring up a great point of what we are doing. So I'm not going to say that this has no direction at all. Because what the reason I like using AI, is because sometimes when you put out these blurbs, like you just talk and you're like, oh, you tell it all the things, it can highlight a common thread that you might not be able to see. So I didn't say like, here's my problem, fix it. I kind of said like, this is what's going on. And it said, no, but you guys do actually have a common thread. And I was like, you know what? It does have a common thread. And it said that the common thread, that our lives are the material, freedom, family, and building differently is the subject. So that is really what we're doing on this podcast, is we're showcasing our life of what living this freedom style lifestyle really looks like. And for us, it might seem dumb. It might seem, like, oh, who cares? Who wants to listen to this? But the reality is, like, even being at Mind Valley, we met so many families who are still living the 9 to 5, whose kids are still in school, whose kids are, like, they want to travel, they want to explore, they want to pull their kids out for a year, they want to be able for their husbands to, be more entrepreneurship and not be working at a corporate job and things like that. And they just have no idea how to do it, or they're scared and they're like, how are you guys doing it? So really, like, a lot of this podcast is us talking about that and saying how we're doing it day to day and what it looks like inside, outside. Here it says the common denominator is, how do we build freedom, purpose, impact, wealth, and meaningful work while protecting the family and the life we're building it all for? And I will say that's a lot of what we stand for. Like, one of the things that we have agreed on over and over again is like, yes, we want to build our businesses and grow exponentially, but not at the cost of our family life. Like, that is a big one for us because, one, the kids have grown up with us. Like, they haven't been in a school system or anything. So really, this has been their entire life. Like, they only know how to be around us. And I think it would be an extreme shock if Alex and I just went into like 50, 60-hour work weeks. Like, oh, you guys go entertain yourselves. Like, we're just going to work all day and every day. I also don't think neither of us would enjoy that, regardless of what our mission is, regardless of what we're doing. We both love spending time with each other and we love spending time with our kids. Like, we like being around them.
There's a reason why we have 6 kids.
Okay. That was not the reason why we have 6 kids. But okay.
But I'm with you. I'm with you on this. And I've had many opportunities to go back into my old life. Like, I've had the military reach back out and say, hey, we'll pay you back pay you, all this other stuff. It's not something I'm interested in doing.
Yeah.
And I am fully aware, and we were talking recently about like, hey, what's holding us back? Or what's the next step? Like, next step in our businesses for each other. And for me, I've really lacked systems. Like, I'm a very good people's person, and I can connect with people, and I can listen and make shifts in real time with people. And I've also been aware that I am my biggest bottleneck. So it's, for me this year, it's really about removing me as the bottleneck and growing as much as possible, because we love traveling, we love the freedom, we love being with the kids, and that's something that we talked about the other day, is like, we have to bring more gratitude into our life because of the things that we're experiencing, but we're so caught up in where we're at now that sometimes and this is with many
I wouldn't
people.
even say where we're at now, what we want to accomplish. Like, we're still stuck on our goals and accomplishments that we fail to realize, like, we're living an amazing life.
No, that's better.
Yeah.
You said.
Leo Man wants to be part of the podcast too.
So I'm not. Maybe I said it maybe like my heart was hurting a little bit, right? Like,
I just recognize
stick a little knife there occasionally.
I recognize I'm 7 months postpartum, and I am ramping up the way I operate, the things I'm doing. Like, I'm starting to feel somewhat back to my norm, in that sense of like, I'm very clear on what I want, and I'm just like, execute. So anything that isn't serving the purpose that I have right now is going to it's going to fall away. Like, it's going to get cut off, because that is the phase of my life that I am currently in. And right now, this podcast feels like this bag of rocks that I'm having to carry, once a week, and I don't want it.
I'm not a bag of rocks, though.
It's not you, though. Like,
it's
that's
me.
the part that I want you to understand. This is literally, it is not you and it's not me. It's the work that it takes to actually produce a podcast.
Yeah. So
and for me, it would be 2 podcasts, because I'm also doing my own.
I mean, look, I was doing this for a long time, and I'm not saying that I was perfect at it, right? But I was doing this before she took over, and it is a lot. And I dropped off on my own podcast, which I had a lot of traction on. I have over 50, 60 episodes on that podcast, and I just stopped it because the demand of
Yeah.
both. So it's like I respect it, and
Which is why I was trying to pay my sons to do this. But ideally, the only way they could do that is we would have to record before Thursday. And that almost never happens. Like we're always recording last minute. So when we were in Dominican Republic, it was a little bit easier because we were most of the times on schedule. But even then, like there was days where we missed it and things like that. And I'm just like, we're we're in a very like fluid phase of our life.
when we're traveling, the routine is not as structured as when we have been in a place. So, like for instance, I can use this as an example today. I was at the beach unexpectedly for another 7 hours because Grace and the kids had stayed the night with a friend, and they were surfing all day. And I went out there early, expecting to just pick him up after a couple hours, and there's no way. Like, you, I
You end
had
up staying for like 5 hours,
I
six
end up staying
hours.
up for 5 hours, and I have work I have to do too here now. So it's like I get it, and I have to respect when we talk about what do we value. One of my big our value, one of our values is family, and so I do need to consider. Like for me, I want to allow my kids the opportunity to do things they love, and obviously there's a balance, right? There's something that's gotta work. So this is a good this is a good shedding, right? I say shedding, not totally shedding, but once again, when we come back to the table as the Jasil and Alex podcast, there will be people that will be editing this for us. We will have a team.
Yeah, this isn't goodbye forever. Like I do love producing this podcast with Alex. I feel like we both have a lot to say and value to give back to people who would like to listen to us and our journey and everything. But it's just not something that is serving either of us in our life as far as like our purpose, our businesses, providing us income. Like it's just like this extra thing that we're doing. And right now it doesn't even have direction. Like at least if we were like, oh yeah, we're doing this because blah, 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 you know?
No.
But
And I just committed, and Jasil doesn't know this, but I am full blown 100% commitment. I sent some messages out, emails out this morning. I'm full blown going into corporate training. Like I'm gonna go and do business and corporate leadership training because that's
don't tell me that I didn't know that when I gave you the idea. Alex is doing a military tour in October. He's
yes.
going to go to multiple commands and bases in the United States of America. So if you're connected to the military, reach out to Alex. He's going to have some keynotes prepared for leadership. It could be what do you call it? Higher leadership. I don't even remember the
It would be
terminology. Senior
leadership.
senior leadership. This is how long I've been out of the military. I don't remember what anything's called
Oh
anymore.
Lord.
Don't ask me. Senior leadership, but also lower enlisted people as well, because we've talked about this a lot. Like our belief is if people can tie back to their hearts, connect to their purpose, their identity, to all these things, even if they just join the military again, imagine somebody who actually wants to show up to work, who actually knows why they're showing up and why they're there versus the person who just joined because they had no other reason to do anything else with their life. So they're like, sure, I'll just join the military, you know? And that is what Alex is going to go around to bases to inspire people about these things and about these topics. And with senior leadership, as he was a senior leader himself and he lived that, then he has his own expertise in
Yeah,
that.
I had a conversation at Mind Valley. Let's close this up with the Mind Valley thing, and we'll quick off, and then we'll go to Mind Valley. I was at conversation with Mind Valley. I did a couple of workshops on the side besides the speaking, and these people were really interested in just who I was as a person. And I don't really talk about my military career anymore, not because I'm ashamed, but there is still like um, some resentment that I got kicked out of the military for standing up for something that I believe in, which is totally okay. But I just, it is what it is. Like it's part of my life. I don't talk about it much. But the more that I've talked about it, the more inspired and interested people come to me, and they're wanting to know my perspective on leadership and getting people to recruitment, retention, all these ideas, change management. I have a master's degree in transformational leadership, and through those studies, it's been working with organizations, and I do get joy in that. I do get joy going into companies and And even when I was in the military teaching trainings to senior leaders and to middle managers, I got in so much joy. That was my most favorite time in the military, to inspire people and to talk and to communicate and to connect. And I have been leaning towards the personal transformation side because I've gone through a lot of things recently and people relate to that. So I'm not totally cutting that off, but I am putting a big emphasis on taking steps to be in front of L&D, leadership and development leads, to be able to go into companies and do trainings at different levels. And then obviously, as Giselle mentioned, with this military speaking tour, I want to give back. I really want to give back to where I came from, but I want to do it in a way where I am, uh, when I say this, and if it doesn't make sense, I apologize, but I'm not trying to get it America first type thing. I want it to be connect with yourself so you can contribute to the mission and make the mission will you'll get everything done, but it's in a way that it serves you and the military at the same
Yeah,
time.
because a lot of the military is like, do this for this or do this or else.
Yeah.
So many people just show up and do the bare minimum because they're not even, it's like they're dissociated completely with why they're even showing up. And for instance, for me, when I joined the military, I knew exactly why I joined, what I wanted out of it. I was not confused. I was not lost. I didn't think, oh, this is who I am now for the rest of my life. And I showed up and I gave my all every day because I knew exactly why the fuck I was showing up.
Yeah.
But that is not the case for most people. Most people have no idea why they're showing up. They're showing up because they couldn't get a job, or they're showing up because they needed extra money, or they're showing up because they were doing nothing else with their lives, or they're showing up because they just turned 18 and they didn't have a plan. And it's like, when you just show up like that, it's the same reason why we're cutting off this podcast, because it doesn't have a mission. It doesn't have a goal. And when things don't have goals and they don't have missions, it's the hamster wheel that's rolling nowhere. So don't be a hamster wheel. You know where you're going and know why.
So let's close this, because the last episode we talked about a 3-part series on Mind Valley, and I want to finish
We can finish
that I committed to that. Okay? So
Okay.
part 3 on Mind Valley. Let's do this in 5 minutes to 10 minutes max.
I mean, we can run this podcast 2 hours. I'm good.
Oh, now you're good. All right, here we go. She got it off her chest. This is the beauty of getting things
Do you
off our chest.
understand? It takes the same amount of time to produce a 10-minute episode as it does like a 2-hour episode. Like the editing, there's not more or less editing. It's almost the same thing.
Yeah.
So I'm just saying, we're going to say it.
So what was your week 2 debrief? What was your takeaway of week 2 of Mind Valley and since?
I feel like it's been so long that I've already forgotten most of it. So week 2 definitely flew by. Like, it was Friday before we knew it. We did way less parties week 2 because we were exhausted from week 1 and the late nights and early mornings and all of that. I felt like I attended way less workshops and things. Like, I was popping in here and there, but I remember I don't even think I stayed through a whole like beginning to end workshop. I literally have to like go back to my notes and remember who were the speakers, who were the people. I mean, you spoke on the second week, which
was that one of your favorite speakers?
One of my favorite speakers.
Here's the thing. So I guess since you forgot, I can talk about a few things here. When we left off last episode, it was a Friday, or not Friday. We posted this, and
it was Sunday that we recorded.
We recorded on Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't remember if I talked about the fact that Eric and Needs pulled me on stage for 4 minutes.
I don't remember.
Like, okay, well, if I did, this is just a repeat from last week. Eric came up to me 5 minutes before and said, "Hey, you're gonna introduce for me," and that was amazing. That was fun. I really enjoyed that, getting the room pumped, getting to introduce someone that I look up to, a mentor of mine. And I'm flying back to Estonia in November. Something that I do that I don't publicize is helping people publicly speak. So I'm going to be one of his coach. I'm going to be coach. I'm going to be a speaker coach for his speaker academy, using his methodologies and everything that he does with storytelling.
So if you are looking to become a better speaker, communicator, which we all should be, regardless of whether you have something to sell or not, because this is about learning how to communicate better with people, look up Speaker Academy. They have they're about to open up their seats, I believe, September 15th, right?
Yes, they're about to open up September 15th.
So you have till September 15th to make up your mind
and
have a seat. And
this will fill up fast. This will fill up fast.
Super fast.
It's sold out every single time. And I promise you, this is life changing. And as Eric always says, you're one well constructed talk from the biggest breakthrough in your life. And I can say that and attest to it because I won Speaker Academy. I was first place, and the doors that have opened, the things that have come my way has been tenfold. And it's the quickest way to jump into a portal and to become the person that you've always wanted to be and have those dreams and aspirations, right? So that's number one. I'm also excited. I didn't mention this, but I have two TEDx coaching clients that I picked up that I'm helping coach for their upcoming TED Talks. Like I'm going to help them construct their talk and bring it all together. So I'm really excited about that. And then what was I saying? Oh yes, the Mind Valley. This was the
Mind
Mind Valley
Valley.
lessons.
Yes.
Thank you. I did a workshop. I did two workshops, one for men and one for women. And
Well, men and women co-ed.
yeah, men and women co-ed, and it was so transformational. People were crying, people were laughing. People,
Now you just reminded me. I did do something.
yeah, you did. People, they came up to me afterwards wanting to work with me. I recently got invited to do a retreat. Today, I actually got invited to do a retreat in the Grand Canary Islands with this woman. It's going to be a co-ed retreat. I will know more soon, but I said yes to that. It's coming in 2027, May, September timeframe. There's two different ones, so excited about
You
that.
have your own men's collective coming up now in August.
Yeah, so in 10 days, 9 days, I'm doing a collective with a friend of mine that's active duty military. We're solely focusing on men, helping them bridge the gap between their success within their job and showing up in the house as a husband, as a father, and as a man, like having a deeper connection to who they are and how they want to show up in the world. So excited about that. But Mind Valley, the talk is amazing, and this is the last thing I want to say before I turn it over to you is I have to be if you're listening to this and you met me in Mind Valley, you will think I'm lying, but I promise you this is true. I never practiced the talk at all, like in full. It was live. The first time I ever did it was the day that I presented it in Mind Valley. I did have the speech map memorized, so like I knew points that I was going to talk about, but I never like.
And this is why I have a hard time working with him because I will never ever in my life do that.
But wait, how was that? How was the talk?
No, I mean, he did amazing. You would have never been able to tell that that was thrown together in a sense, like in the moment. Like he said, so a speech map, if you don't know what a speech map is, it's basically like you have your stories, you have some anchors of where you're going, but you really, it never comes out the same way because the whole point is that it seems authentic and natural. So if you practice a speech word for word, you sound like a robot. You're like, and today we are going to be speaking about blah, blah. And we don't want to do that because that is the quickest way to put an audience to sleep, which is what Speaker Academy, Eric Edmeese teaches is this whole speech map thing. So Alex had that, but he never once practiced it. And I didn't say anything. Like I knew he hadn't practiced it because I hadn't seen him practicing it. And I was just like, people kept asking me, how do you think he's going to do? How does Alex, behind the scenes, like, how do you think he's going to, like, has he been practicing? I was like, don't ask me. I don't even want to talk about this stuff. Like, don't ask me. I have no idea. And people are like, what do you mean you don't know? I'm like, no, I literally have no idea.
Look, and I'm saying this because we had just had a hard conversation. She doubted me the morning, like the night before.
I didn't doubt you. This is what I said. I said, if he shits the bed, then he will learn from that experience. I was like, I don't think he will, but I was like, if he does, then, it's a learning lesson. But I told this as well to the woman that I was speaking to. I said, you know what the biggest problem of all this is that I know he won't shit the bed. And that's what I said. And I was like, and this is why he does it. This is why he doesn't practice. This is why he does it, because he knows that he'll just show up and put on a performance and everybody will love it and he will do amazing. I was like, and I am not that type of person. Like,
But
I would go crazy if I just showed up somewhere like that, unprepared to give a speech in front of, over 100 people. Like, that's just it's not what I would do.
and look,
But
I'm very aware that in order for me to get to the level that I want to be, where I want to be, and the thousands of people that I want to do transformation for in the future, I require to practice and there's so much inflection points, pausing, questions, like there's
Yeah,
a science behind
but
speaking.
let's talk about this. Why do you think you didn't practice for this? Because it wasn't that you didn't care about the opportunity, or that, let's say, you were taking it as like, oh, whatever, like this doesn't really matter. Like this mattered a lot to you and you wanted this really bad. So let's talk about this, because this is, a form of self-sabotage, of a form of not, like, you're almost not showing up for yourself in a way that you want to, because you're afraid of actually fucking doing well.
I mean, I wasn't thinking that.
You don't think that because it's a subconscious
No,
thing.
no. Here,
I know you don't think that. You're not going to show up and say, oh, today I'm not going to practice for the thing that really matters to me, because I know if I practice, I'm going to do really well.
No,
It's
what I was feeling was that for me, it's more of like getting a feel. Like I'm a very spontaneous. We had someone reach out about our podcast and say Alex is all over the place. Like he's spontaneous, which I guess now that I'm out of the military, I can just step into it. Right before I couldn't. I had no option and no grace in that. So this spontaneity that I love, that I feel like I thrive in a sense, like that gives me the full blown ability to just feel the crowd. And there was some things that weren't even on my speech map that I did based off of what I felt from the crowd. And I think that's the big piece that I couldn't tell you that I could practice it, but I wouldn't have known.
So we agreed that Alex is just going to channel his speeches from now on, and he's not actually going to practice them.
Yeah, well, the thing is that my mentor, as I mentioned, Eric Means, he told me afterwards, he's like, look, elite level, like you did a really amazing. The audience, people that attended are not going to be able to know the things that I'm telling you, but it's really just connective tissue and practice, practice, practice to get you to the Tony Robbins or the Eric Meads or the Les
The
Browns or
transitions in the stories. It's like, and this did happen to Alex, and he can attest to this, is
Yeah.
he lost his spot at one point. He's telling a story and he didn't know what was the point of the story. So in the transition from that story to the next thing, it was very abrupt. And that's the part where the skill comes in, right? If you're on a stage doing this all the time, you're practicing it constantly, it becomes something that you're good at and you're not losing your place. And that is what Eric as well told him.
I didn't let the story do the work.
Yeah.
I told the story, I did well, but I didn't let it land and do the work. I immediately transitioned because I had lost the point. And
the story was like heavy and emotional, and then it was like normal, like it was like too fast. It's like putting a car from, drive to reverse without actually stepping on the brake. Like you're just like, yeah.
You grind the gears a little bit.
So he like grinded the gears there really quickly. But once again, like we said, it wasn't like, honestly, I sat for 2 weeks in many rooms watching people speak over and over, and he did a phenomenal job. And I know that it's just, I'm not saying this because he's my husband. He did really well, and he knows because I am one of his hardest critics. I will tell him the truth to his face.
Yeah, so it's the speech was amazing. It's just the beginning. It's inspired me to go even bigger and to do more. But I am fully aware as I take this step, as I mentioned about military leadership and change management and corporate trainings, there is going to be more structure on how I talk. So there's going to be more of I'm not just going to always go with the flow, because companies and organizations love structure. They thrive on structure. They thrive on systems. And I've lived it. I've been in it for 13 and a half years. I understand how it goes. And I can switch that gear in a room. I can go that way in my delivery. But the one thing that I told myself as I move forward into this, I won't change how I show up in the world. So I will have that structure, but I will have the human side of it. So many people get rigid when it comes to corporate training or business training. I really do believe there's a human side to high performance. And that's one of the talks that I'll be giving at companies and organizations, is the human side to being the best performer, the highest grossing company, having the best retention, the recruitment, whatever the case may be. There's a human side to it. So.
And my week 2 Mind Valley, he reminded me when he talked about his events, I actually decided to host an event as well, because I had so many parents and people coming up to me asking me about our kids, about our lifestyle. Anybody who interacted with the kids, people always had positive comments. Some of the people who were working with them, because they were in a program themselves from 9 to 5 with like a 2 hour break some days, were asking me, they were like, your kids are phenomenal. Like they're just so whole. They're, like they're just on it. They're respectful. They're, helping out, and they were just, to listen to an educator, people who have been doing this for many years, give you these compliments. It meant a lot because these are people who work with kids every single day. But as their mom, I'm like, can you tell me more? Because I don't know what you mean. Like, they're just my kids. Like, I don't see them in the same way as, someone who's from the outside looking in and working with them. So so we had that little group. We had about 7, 8 people show up. Some of them weren't even parents yet. They were just very curious about our lifestyle and what we did. And it was a great conversation. It was supposed to be 45 minutes. We ended up staying double that. And yeah, it proved to me, and it acknowledged the fact that parents want to know more about this. They want to be able to take their kids outside of school without having to be within the system. And also, there's a huge fear around, I'm going to mess my children up, or I'm not going to teach them what they need to know, or I'm not enough. And then the other one of all that is, well, I can't just spend my whole day with my kids because I have to work, or I like my alone time and all of that. So I spoke to those parents specifically on those things, because the reality is, while our kids are around us most of the day, almost all day, we're not having to engage with them like you would in a school. Like that, we didn't just like, oh, okay, we're going to have them at home and now we're going to become the teachers and we're just sitting around all day teaching and doing and doing and doing. That's not how our life functions. So I want to speak out more about that, because I feel like there's so many parents that don't realize that it can look whatever way you want it to. Like that is, I think, the biggest takeaway is, like, when you choose to educate your kids at home, it can look however you want it to.
And it should serve your family.
Yeah,
It should serve
exactly.
your family and your lifestyle. And we have never been the type of people, like, if you're in a school, a traditional school, like, that's your choice, right? But if there's a point in your life where you start to get curious, and you're like, man, there's more to life than
And
just what we're doing.
yeah, and I mean, like, for instance, one mom was like, I just want to travel for a year, but like, I'm afraid of taking her out of school. And it's just being able to know just that right there, like, she's gonna be okay. It's just 1 year. Like, she will be more than okay. And those experiences in that 1 year of travel are going to teach her more than she will ever learn inside a classroom for a whole year. Because life is actually being lived. It's not you inside a classroom trying to learn things throughout a textbook or a computer nowadays, or through a teacher. Is your child actually having the physical experience? And then they turn 18, 25. And what do you have to do? You have to live real life. You don't just say, you know what? I don't like what I'm doing. I'm going to go to school for the next 12 years at 35 years old. Like, that's not, you got to learn how to live real life. So my thing is, why wait until the child turns 18 or 25 or whatever to then be like, oh, I can't figure out why my child can't get their shit together. Well, because they never had to, because they've been, in this system, just kind of like, what do they call it? Like a belt, just being told what's next, what they have to do next. And then they don't know how to make those choices, have those decisions, have that independence on their own. Like, I know from my own experience, like, I was one of those people when the shackles came off, I just went wild, because I was like, oh, nobody's here to tell me what to do. And I was very responsible with many things. And there was this side of me who just wanted to go absolutely wild simply because the shackles came off. No one's here to tell me what to do. Nobody's telling me how to live my life. So I'm just going to do it all and do whatever I want, versus being given that independence from a young age to be able to make choices, to be able to know what real consequences are, to be able to take calculated or risks to a certain extent. Like, obviously there's certain things that you just wouldn't let a child experience and do. Once again, everything age appropriately, right? But it is very important for me, for my children, to do that now instead of trying to figure it out at 15, 18, or 25.
Man, that's so inspiring. She is inspiring when she's in her zone of genius. She is on fire
Well, yeah, we finished off
and spicy.
week 2 of Mind Valley with a big, what was it called? A Nordic soiree out in the middle of nowhere. It was like a big party out by the ocean. It was a beautiful venue and it was fun. But Alex and I, we didn't even dress up. We were like so done. We were like, we're really just here because our kids wanted to go to the party.
Yeah.
Like we were ready to stay home
And I
and
mean,
not even go.
this is how done we were. So we knew that we were going to be out late. It's 2 a.m. when we get home, 2:30 when we're all asleep, and we had to be up at 6 to go to Finland. And we fell asleep in the park for 4 hours in Finland.
Yeah.
I mean, it was amazing. The park, like no one messed with you. It was a beautiful temperature.
There's no fire ants to eat you.
The grass was so soft, and we've really enjoyed. I think to sum up this podcast, we've really enjoyed the last specifically. I mean, the Mind Valley was amazing, but like the last 6 to 7 days of like traveling and just being in other places, we missed that. And one of the reasons why we got back to this podcast was because when Liam passed away, it was a way for us to really process and to share and to be vulnerable and true of who we were in that moment. And right now we're now back into the building phase. And so it's only as we want to move more, we don't want to stay in the Dominican Republic. And I'm gonna wait until season 6 when we decide to open up this podcast again to tell you where we're moving, because we have decided the Dominican Republic is not our home, and that is the cliffhanger. Have a good day. We love you, and we can't wait to get back to this project in the future.
He's a fun